Imagine a world where the Northrop YF-23 had beaten the F-22 Raptor. A world where this mysterious, almost alien-looking aircraft became the face of American air dominance. The year was 1990. The Cold War was reaching its final tense chapters. The United States needed a fighter that could outfly, outthink, and outlast anything the Soviet Union could ever build. Two prototypes entered the contest under the Advanced Tactical Fighter, or ATF, program. One was from Lockheed, sleek, sharp, and powerful. The other, from Northrop, was silent, shadow-like, and decades ahead of its time. The YF-23 wasn't just another fighter jet. It was a glimpse into the future. A plane designed with ideas that seemed like science fiction in its day, yet now define modern stealth warfare. Today, we'll explore how the YF-23, though officially a loser, ended up shaping nearly every next-generation fighter that followed. To understand why the YF-23 was so revolutionary, you have to look at its creators. Northrop had already made history with the B-2 Spirit stealth bomber, a flying wing that looked like it had slipped through a crack in time. That experience in radar-evading design gave Northrop an edge in the ATF competition. They knew stealth wasn't just about hiding. It was about controlling the enemy's perception entirely. So when the Air Force called for a next-generation fighter, a small team at Northrop, led by Chief Engineer Robert Sandusky, began developing something radical. Their philosophy was simple: speed, stealth, survivability. Not a dogfighter, not a showpiece, but a predator that could strike first and vanish before radar could even whisper its name. The early prototypes had code names: Agile Maneuverable Fighter, Ultra Stealth Fighter, and High Stealth Fighter. The last one, the HSF, became the foundation of what we now know as the YF-23. It was a strange creature. Long, diamond-shaped wings, a smooth fuselage, and a pair of canted tail fins that formed a perfect V. It looked more like a spaceship than a jet fighter, but beneath its smooth black skin lay the most advanced stealth technology of its era. Every inch of the YF-23 was sculpted with one goal: to disappear from radar. The nose had a distinctive platypus shape, a design that reduced radar reflection from multiple angles. The engines were buried deep within the fuselage, hidden behind curved inlets that shielded their spinning blades, the #1 cause of radar returns in most jets. But perhaps the most ingenious feature was at the back. Instead of traditional round exhaust nozzles, the YF-23 used flat, slit-like outlets lined with heat-dissipating tiles. These tiles cooled the exhaust gases to reduce infrared visibility, making it nearly invisible to heat-seeking missiles. It was the first fighter in the world to use this concept so effectively. The result? A jet that could fly supersonic without afterburners, cruising quietly at over Mach 1.5. And all this without the noise, heat, or radar signature that gave away traditional fighters. In tests, the YF-23 was faster and stealthier than its rival, the YF-22. But while Lockheed's aircraft relied on agility and thrust-vectoring engines for close combat, Northrop's machine was built for one thing: survival. It didn't need to twist through the sky like a gymnast. It planned to eliminate threats before they even saw it coming. When both prototypes finally faced off in 1990, the Air Force found itself in a difficult position. The YF-22 was more agile and offered greater commonality with existing systems. The YF-23, meanwhile, was faster, stealthier, and more futuristic, but also riskier. Ultimately, the Air Force chose the safer path. Lockheed's YF-22 became the F-22 Raptor, entering service more than a decade later. The YF-23 was left behind, its black wings gathering dust in hangars. But many engineers, pilots, and even Air Force insiders would later admit that the decision wasn't just about performance. Politics, production costs, and corporate influence played their parts. Northrop had already won the B-2 bomber contract. Giving them the ATF fighter as well would have upset the balance of the military industry. So, officially, the YF-23 lost. Unofficially, it had already won the future. For decades, the YF-23 sat in museums and storage facilities, almost forgotten. But when the world began to see the designs of new generation aircraft, something strange happened. They looked familiar. The U.S. Air Force's Next Generation Air Dominance Program, or NGAD, features concepts that are eerily similar to the YF-23's shape: blended fuselages, hidden engines, and no vertical stabilizers. Boeing's own NGAD concept, nicknamed the F-47, almost directly mirrors the YF-23's elegant, tailless form. Even Darrell Cummings, one of the original engineers behind the YF-23, admitted in an interview that he recognized his old work in the new fighter designs. "It definitely has elements of the YF-23, he said. "I'm not surprised at all. This is where we were always heading, and that's the truth." The YF-23 wasn't just a jet, it was a prophecy. Its ideas were simply waiting for technology to catch up. In the 1980s, computers couldn't stabilize a tailless aircraft at high speeds. Flight systems were too primitive. Infrared protection methods were experimental. But today, with AI-driven flight control, advanced materials and thermal management systems, those once impossible designs are finally achievable. What was once seen as a risky experiment is now the standard for sixth-generation air combat. The YF-23's influence didn't stop at fighters. Its DNA can be found in the B-21 Raider, the U.S. Air Force's newest stealth bomber. At first glance, the B-21 seems to descend directly from the B-2 Spirit. But look closer, and you'll see the ghost of the YF-23, deeply buried engines, hidden exhausts, and an obsession with minimizing infrared signatures. According to Cummings, many of the YF-23's stealth concepts were reused and improved for the B-21. "We were experimenting with ideas that are only now being perfected," he said. Even the construction approach, a modular digital design philosophy, originated from Northrop's 1990s vision. Back then, the tools didn't exist. Now, they do. And beyond American skies, the YF-23's design echoes can be seen in the Global Combat Air Program, or GCAP, a joint effort between the UK, Japan, and Italy. Their goal is to build a stealthy, AI-integrated fighter that can dominate the next century of aerial warfare. The prototypes revealed so far share unmistakable traits: smooth contours, hidden inlets, and a body wing blend straight out of the YF-23's playbook. It seems that what was once considered too radical has become the global blueprint for air superiority. But perhaps the most remarkable thing about the YF-23 isn't its design, it's its philosophy. Most fighters are built to win dogfights. The YF-23 was built to make dogfights obsolete. Its combat doctrine was summed up in 3 words: first look, first shot, first kill. It wasn't meant to chase the enemy. It was meant to erase them before they even knew it was there. This mindset, attack from invisibility, then vanish, has become the foundation of modern air warfare. Today's AI-assisted fighters, drone swarms, and networked sensor systems all follow that same logic: stealth first, data first, survival first. In many ways, the YF-23 represents the moment when aerial warfare transitioned from brute strength to digital intelligence, from loud and visible to silent and strategic. Today, only 2 YF-23s exist. One sits at the National Museum of the U.S. Air Force in Dayton, Ohio. The other rests quietly in a California hangar, a relic of what could have been. But their presence still inspires engineers, designers, and aviation fans around the world. Every time a new stealth jet is unveiled, people inevitably compare it to the YF-23. Every time a concept shows a smooth, tailless shape, someone whispers, "That looks like the Black Widow too." Because the truth is, the YF-23 didn't really lose, it just arrived too early. It was a masterpiece built for a world that wasn't ready for it. And now, as 6th-generation fighters emerge, its vision has finally come full circle. Stealth, integration, autonomy, all ideas born in that Northrop hangar more than 30 years ago. The YF-23 never went to war. It never patrolled the skies or carried missiles into combat. But its shadow flies with every stealth aircraft that now rules the heavens. So, what made the YF-23 special? It wasn't just faster. It wasn't just quieter. It was smarter. It proved that true power doesn't always come from being seen. It comes from never being seen at all. In a time when radars, satellites, and sensors can track almost anything, the YF-23's message feels more relevant than ever. The ultimate weapon is invisibility. Northrop's creation may have been grounded, but its ideas took flight. And now, 3 decades later, they dominate the skies. The YF-23 wasn't a failure. It was a preview, a silent promise that the future of air combat would belong not to those who roar the loudest, but to those who fly unseen. And that future has finally arrived. Which modern stealth aircraft carries the spirit of the YF-23? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into aviation history, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss the next episode. Because sometimes, the greatest victories come from the aircraft that never fired a single shot.